What's the right amount of XRP to hold? And why is there no universal answer? At the heart of the XRP community lies one of the most frequently asked and most misunderstood questions. How much XRP enough to hold? While many investors search for a magic number that guarantees success, the reality is far more nuanced. According to a recent commentary by crypto enthusiast Bird, the idea of a correct amount of XRP is completely subjective and deeply tied to personal circumstances. Rather than offering a fixed target, Bird challenges the community to rethink how they define financial success in the first place. From a market perspective, this mindset matters because it discourages panic buying, peer pressure investing, and unrealistic expectations. When investors chase arbitrary numbers promoted online, they often ignore risk management and personal sustainability. By reframing the conversation, Bird introduces a healthier, more mature approach to digital asset accumulation, one that aligns individual goals with long-term market participation instead of hype-driven decisions. So, how do personal circumstances shape XRP accumulation goals? Bird emphasizes that financial objectives are never created in a vacuum. Factors such as geographic location, cost of living, employment stability, family responsibilities, and saving capacity all play a critical role in determining how much XRP might be meaningful for someone. A person living in a high-cost urban area will naturally have different financial requirements than someone living in a lower-cost region. From a market impact standpoint, this diversity explains why XRP holders behave differently during price movements. Some may take profits early to cover essential needs, while others can afford to hold through volatility. Understanding this dynamic helps explain market psychology and liquidity behavior. It also reinforces the idea that accumulation strategies should be personalized, not copied from influencers or viral posts. So, why is wealth a personal definition rather than a fixed benchmark? One of the strongest points in Bird's commentary here is the assertion that wealth is not a single benchmark. For some, wealth means income growth and expanding opportunities. For others, it represents stability, flexibility, or long-term security tied to healthcare, travel, or retirement planning. XRP, in this context, becomes a tool, not a finish line. Market-wise, this perspective reduces herd behavior. When investors define success personally, they are less likely to react emotionally to price predictions or exaggerated forecasts. This leads to a more stable holding base, which can positively influence long-term market structure. It also discourages unrealistic expectations that often result in disappointment and sudden sell-off. So, why can comparing XRP holdings with others be misleading? Bird strongly cautions against comparing XRP holdings with others, especially figures widely circulated on social media. These comparisons often lack context and ignore the vastly different realities behind each portfolio. What looks like a small holding to one person could represent years of disciplined saving for another. From a market impact perspective, comparison culture fuels over leveraging and financial stress, pushing individuals to invest beyond their comfort level. This behavior increases vulnerability during market downturns and can amplify volatility. Bird's message encourages investors to shift focus inward, leading to more responsible participation in the crypto market. So, what does defining personal success change about financial planning? According to Bird, once individuals clearly define what success look like in their own lives, a suitable accumulation goal naturally emerges. This approach places responsibility where it belongs, on the individual rather than external narratives. By aligning XRP holdings with real life ambitions, investors gain clarity and purpose. This mindset has significant market implications. Investors with clear goals are less likely to chase hype cycles and more likely to adopt long term strategies. This creates a more resilient investor base and reduces reactionary trading driven by fear or greed. So, is holding 10,000 XRP a rule or just a reference point? While rejecting universal standards, Bird acknowledges a commonly mentioned reference point, the 10,000 XRP. Under certain price scenarios, especially if XRP were to reach double-digit valuations, this amount could translate into a six-figure value in US dollars. However, Bird is clear that this is not a recommendation. From a market standpoint, reference points can be useful for discussion but dangerous when treated as guarantees. Bird's clarification helps reduce speculative excess and reminds investors that even substantial holdings may be insufficient or excessive depending on individual goals. The key takeaway is alignment, not limitation. I mean, not imitation. So, how do community reactions reinforce this personal approach? Community responses to Bird's post further reinforce his message. One commenter shared aspirations of completing an off-grid home after securing land, using XRP as a means to achieve a specific, tangible outcome. This example perfectly illustrates how financial goals tied to XRP are often practical and deeply personal. From a broader market lens, these stories humanize investment behavior. They show that XRP accumulation isn't just about abstract numbers. It is about enabling real-world outcomes. This perspective encourages responsible investing and long-term commitment rather than speculative gambling. And finally, my own personal opinion about this is that Bird's commentary delivers one of the most grounded and healthy perspectives in the crypto space today. The obsession with finding a perfect number often distracts investors from what truly matters. That's clarity, discipline, and self-awareness. XRP, like any asset, should serve your life goals, not define your self-worth or success. I believe the future of the XRP community depends on this shift in mindset. When investors stop chasing viral benchmarks and start planning realistically, the market becomes stronger, more stable, and more sustainable. Ultimately, the right amount of XRP is the amount that lets you sleep at night while still believing in the long-term vision. And this finally ends our video. Thank you very much for watching and see ya on the next one.